What is your position and what's your area of horticultural specialization?
All right. Well, I'm a professor of environmental horticulture, and my appointment is 40% teaching, 60% research. My specialty is ornamental invasive plants and also native plant propagation and production.
So, ornamental invasive plants, are those ornamentals that can become invasive or?
Yes.
Okay.
So I work with all the ornamentals that aren't listed on the noxious weed list. So we're still available in the nurseries, and then I work to find better alternatives to to give our industry better solutions.
Okay, very cool. All right. What has horticulture meant to your life and career?
Oh, so that's a great question because I feel that horticulture is just the thread of my being, and horticulture ever ever since I can remember, I just naturally was one of those people that was out in the yard. I gravitated to the yard, and horticulture science, how plants worked, always interests me. But I never really knew that you could get a career in that back then, and I majored in animal science because I loved animals. And how my career started is I wanted to get experience. They had a position open in the greenhouse, and that's when I started to study horticulture. And that's really when that moment in your life when you feel like this is your purpose. That's when I knew my purpose, and I switched paths, and the rest is history.
Yeah, very cool.
Mm-hmm.
So, how did you go from that experience in the greenhouse to a career in academia?
So I worked in the greenhouse in I was still majoring in animal science, working in the greenhouse.
Okay.
So all of the professors would come in, talk to me, and they would say, you should take my class. And I had some electives open, so I took their class. And the more classes I took, the more I just, loved what I was learning, every aspect of it. And when I was close to graduating, but I always felt like, gosh, I should have double majored, and finished this, had recognition for all of the plant science classes that I had taken. And so to answer your question, I was working at a veterinary center when I graduated, and one of the customers was one of my professors.
Okay.
And I said to him, I want to go back to the university and get that double major. And he said, you should get your master's degree in plant science. And the rest was history. So it took somebody just giving that information for me and telling me it was possible.
Yeah, great.
Mm-hmm.
What was or what has been the most rewarding part of your career in horticulture?
Gosh, there's been so many rewarding times in my life in horticulture, but I guess collectively the things that I find great value in, one is teaching in person in the classroom, just not just the beginning students that have never seen or never propagated plants before, but even the seasoned students that are learning a new technique or a new application, and just seeing them flourish, seeing the light bulb click in them is very, very rewarding. And along those lines, also with our junior faculty that are starting out as assistant professors, being a mentor to them, giving back to what my mentors gave to me, and helping them kind of go through the hoops of tenure and promotion, and helping them succeed, I find very rewarding as well. As far as my career, probably one of I guess one of the most surprises that came my way, and there's been many wonderful things that my career has had, but when the two primary authors, like the horticulture icons, Bob Geneve and Fred Davies, invited at a horticulture conference, they invited me to be the next author of the world standard Hartman and Kester's plant propagation book is now in its 9th edition. And that was when everything kind of turned 360, and I was being able to put the pen to paper for a textbook that would be used in the classrooms.
Yeah. I use that textbook in teaching plant propagation at UNL.
Great.
So
that's great.
There's your direct impact. That's great. That's very cool. All right. How long have you been a member of ASHS, and how has the society influenced your career?
Well, Sam, you're asking me to put some years on my age here.
Just ballpark.
You can do the math, but I have been a member of ASHS since my very first year as a master's student, so early 90s. And my advisor at the time was helping me to be able to give an oral presentation at the Southern region or the Northeastern region competition. And I said to him, should I become a member? And I remember this to this day. I asked him that question, why should I become a member? And because you had to pay something for it, and I wasn't sure if that was worthwhile. And he said, absolutely, everybody should be a member of a professional society. And my membership has never lapsed. And I won first place in that competition. So the rest is history as far as my involvement with ASHS.
Yeah. Well, you said it was at a meeting that the relationship with the textbook came about?
Yes.
Okay.
So, so I got my bachelor's degree at University of Delaware, and then I was looking into graduate school for a PhD just wherever. And it was at an ASHS conference that I met the graduate students and the faculty at Clemson University, just networked, gravitated towards them, and that's where I applied, and that's where I got my PhD. Fast forward a few years, I was a postdoc, and that's when ASHS had we still have something like it, but it's different because technology has changed. But you could submit your resume ahead of time, and they would print up all the resumes in this big 3-ring notebook. And people could go to this room and sift through the notebook to see your resume. So I submitted my resume to that, and somebody, Dr. Terry Kubota, noticed my resume. It stood out to her, and she called me and said, Sandy, I think you should apply for this Japanese Society of the Fellowship of Science postdoc and work with my lab in Japan. And I applied. I worked in the lab in Japan. Cool. And then when it became time to look for a career, my first career in horticulture, again, ASHS was the place that had the advertisement where I saw the position at University of Florida. I've been there ever since. And then, of course, what you mentioned, the book authors, that again was something that happened through networking in the conferences.
Yeah. Ringing endorsement for ASHS there. That's great.
Yeah.
Excuse me. What advice can you offer to students or young professionals in horticulture?
Okay, so some of this advice is coming from what I wish I had the opportunity or somebody would have said to me when I first started. And some of this advice is what I see now in the workforce, what they're looking for in students. And so the first piece of advice is for young professionals or students is just to get experience. That seems simple, but really you can get experience in so many different areas between research and teaching, extension, or national or international And it's just the sky's the limit with industry or academia. Just try to diversify yourself enough so you can find what you want to do and what career you want to spend the rest of your life in. Get experience.
Yeah, that's good advice.
The second advice to that, in addition to get experience, is to get connected. We kind of talked about that, the importance of networking, and use these meetings to take advantage of everything, the resume room, to meet other people, to help you with your resume, the mentor-mentee program, the Get Connected we have all these different programs to get connected. And sometimes we're so busy focused on our research that we don't know the value of it, but it absolutely is a good use of time.
Yeah.
So get connected. And the third advice is to, get experience, get connected. And the third one is to get noticed. It is harder and harder to figure out how you can distinguish yourself. Like, how can you be recognized? That what makes you stand out above everyone else? What makes your application rise to the top in a pool of applications? And getting recognized, of course, is how you're going to land that ultimate position. And my fourth piece of advice is to serve and to give back, because you can get experience, you can get connected, and you can get experience, get connected. What was my third one? Get noticed.
Yeah.
Through serving.
Yeah.
And also because we see your leadership, and also giving back when the time is yours.
Yeah.
To give that back, so it's 360.
Yeah, that's a good point. Most of my contacts at ASHS I met through committees, so
Yes, absolutely.
it's true. All right, last question. What excites you most about the future of the horticultural industry and profession?
Well, I'll tell you, Sam, coming to this conference and attending some of the student talks and just seeing the excitement in their voices and the passion that they have to advance horticulture absolutely is very exciting, because our young professionals and our students are the future of horticulture. And I am very excited just to see how technology is rapidly changing how we do things in horticulture. It's exciting to go to the technology talks and see how artificial intelligence and robotics and computer science and all of that are integrated into automation and being efficient for the industry to be profitable in our next generation. That's very exciting to me. And then in the classroom, and we have distance education. It's part of the education experience now, and being able to educate people from all over the world is certainly exciting. But that's just the tip of the iceberg, because I see virtual intelligence and virtual reality goggles so that we can put them on in our classes and see how plants work. And just I think we have a long way to go in bringing technology to our labs, and I'm really excited to, years down the road, to be able to see that in our classrooms as well.